Drawing from Observation, Lesson 3, Gesture Drawing. Congratulations! You've made it through week 1 of Drawing from Observation. Before starting this lesson, please have the following materials ready: paper, sketch pad, 14 by 17 inches, drawing supplies, ebony pencil, subject matter, everyday objects, and areas around your house or room. Keep track of your assignments. Do each exercise in order in your sketchbook or sketchpad. Change pages for each exercise and use as many pages as you need, but on each page, write your name and the number of the exercise, for example, O-3A. Also, after doing the assignments, remember to take photos, both of your drawings and of the subjects you drew. In previous lessons, you've started to develop your artist's eye, learning to see more accurately and sensitively through outline, contour, and negative space drawing. But even though these exercises helped you observe different aspects of your subject, they all involved working in one particular way, looking and drawing slowly and carefully. In Lesson 3, we'll take you in new directions. Sometimes in drawing, you don't want to look carefully and draw slowly. Instead, you might need to look quickly and draw freely, like when you're trying to capture a person or animal in motion, when you need to organize a complex scene by taking in the whole thing at once, or when you simply must take note of an interesting subject. Such rapid drawing is usually called sketching. Another term for it is gesture drawing. You'll learn these techniques here, using them to explore new aspects of line, shape, and space. You'll also learn how to turn ordinary drawings into compositions. Let's start by just sketching things you find around the house. Exercise O-3A, Blind Sketching. Time, 5 drawings at 2 minutes each or 10 minutes. Materials, ebony pencil and sketch pad. Subject, different objects, plants, tools, etc. found around the house. For this exercise, choose 5 interesting objects to draw that you didn't use for the previous lessons. Even if these objects may seem too difficult, this exercise will show you a way to approach them. Once you've settled on your objects, line them up on a table in front of you, prop up your sketch pad at an angle, and pick up your pencil holding it in a relaxed, comfortable way. Then stop. Don't draw just yet. Simply look at each object, but also notice how your eyes are taking them in. At first, it may seem like the eye sees the whole object at once, but pay closer attention. In fact, eyes see by moving all the time, scanning back and forth so fast that you can hardly tell. This exercise teaches you to sketch the way your eyes take things in. Try this first by drawing in the air. Look at one object with your pencil in your hand, then draw it in the air as if you were drawing on paper, trying to let your hand follow your eye just as fast as it moves. Do this for a minute or so, keeping your eye and hand moving together. Now we'll try it on paper. It may feel strange to draw this way, but if you do it right, you'll find that you can tune in more to your eye movement and maybe notice things about the object you didn't see before. This will be another blind drawing, but here, instead of making your eye follow edges, let your eye lead and let your hand follow wherever it goes. When the clock rings, draw the first object as quick as you can. Don't take your eye off the object and don't take your pencil off the paper. For as long as you draw, let your hand follow your eye as it moves from point to point, even if it comes back to the same place several times. When the clock rings again, switch to the second object, and so on. Okay, start. And stop. Good job. Now take a look at your drawings. Chances are that even though you didn't look at the paper and even though you weren't directing either your eye or your hand, you should still be able to make out the subject you were drawing in the sketch and maybe even recognize some of its unique features that you noticed when scanning it. In any case, having had some experience doing blind sketching, you can see that it takes a different kind of looking than outline or contour drawing, using a different kind of energy and engaging different kinds of movement, both of your hand and eye. In terms of how the eye moves, sketching takes advantage of a natural phenomenon, the way the eye functions, whether for drawing or not. Here's scientific evidence of how it happens. These special glasses trace the path of eye movements called saccades, going between fixation points where the eye pauses for an instant. Line patterns made by recording this movement look a lot like sketches. Here's an example of how someone viewed this Egyptian sculpture. The lines show where the viewer's eye traveled, going rapidly from one fixation point to another. Notice how often the eye retraces its steps, coming back to important details, especially the features. Eye movements do follow outer edges, but not in slow, steady lines as in contour drawing. Instead, the path is built up of lots of little lines, maybe like the way you drew for your blind sketching assignment. As we said, this technique is sometimes called gesture drawing, especially when it's applied to drawing the human figure or animals. The word gesture refers to an expressive movement, like an actor gesticulating to convey a feeling or a politician trying to make a point. Artists working in a gestural way also use expressive movements of their hands, arms, and even their whole bodies. But unlike actors, most artists don't make gestural movements for their own sake. Instead, their rapid, flowing gestural lines are the result of following the movement of their eye or mind. Obviously, this style of drawing is most effective in capturing moving subjects like this clown by the French artist and political cartoonist Honoré Daumier. But art students use the same technique to draw models standing still, trying to capture the energy, feeling, or idea behind the pose. We also mentioned that sketching and gesture drawing are often used to organize pictorial compositions, seeking out structures or patterns in the subject to help viewers understand what they're seeing and respond to it appropriately. These quick landscape sketches by Andrew Wyeth show how he walked around, viewing his subject from different angles and framing it in different ways. This next exercise gives you a chance to try both the expressive and organizational aspects of gesture drawing using a subject familiar to most college students and their professors, a desk or table crowded with books and papers. Exercise O-3B, Compositional Gesture Drawings. Time, 4 drawings at 5 minutes each for a total of 20 minutes. Materials, ebony pencil on sketchpad. Subject, untidy desk or tabletop. Here we'll do gesture drawing, looking occasionally at the paper. Do 4 5-minute gesture drawings of the same subject, viewing and drawing it differently each time. As with photography, you can change how you depict the subject by viewing it from different angles or by framing the view in different ways, zooming in or out. To decide on the view, ask yourself what's most interesting to you about the setup. What should be up front and what should stay back? Once that's decided, think about cropping. How much of the scene do you include? Are the objects enough, or do you need some background, some foreground, or both? Now you're thinking compositionally, not just recording what you see, but creating an experience for the viewer, a picture to frame and hang on a wall. Speaking of frames, try using the viewfinder for this assignment, like you did for the last lesson, to zero in on the subject and frame the image. Also, just as you can crop photos after they've been shot, you can change the shape and position of the frame as you draw or afterwards. Think of the frame as part of the drawing and treat it gesturally too, so you can change it more easily. Make additions or corrections to your gesture drawing without erasing, sketching over the original lines in the same loose way. Then continue looking and sketching until time is up, letting lines build up naturally. If you don't worry about the messiness, you'll find that each time you go over the subject, you'll see it a little better. Eventually, you may learn to draw more economically, but don't worry about that now. We'll draw the messy desk 4 times, switching rapidly from one to the other. To prepare, place your sketch pad on your lap, hold up the viewfinder to choose your view, and when the bell rings, draw the composition, working freely the whole time. When the bell rings again, move and start a new composition. Okay, start. And stop. Okay, great. Now look at the work you've done. Even if they're a bit messy, that's okay because the subject was messy too. Also, if you did this right, you found that you could cover a lot of ground very quickly by letting your eye move naturally and letting your hand follow your eye. Finally, you hopefully found that you could not only organize a complicated subject, but you could organize it in different ways in your sketches. And you also saw that some worked better than others. Artists often make small sketches like these before starting big pieces. They're called thumbnails because they're small, and since they're small, they can be drawn quickly, allowing for a lot of different versions. Another plus to being small is that they can be seen all at once as compositions. These thumbnails by Raphael and Picasso show that even great masters use this process to study their subject and think through how they want to picture it. So, drawing from observation isn't just a matter of having an observant eye, it takes planning too. Specifically, observational drawings involve choices: what to draw, how to draw, what angle to view it from, what to emphasize, what technique to use. Now that you know several drawing techniques — outline, contour, negative space, sketching, and gesture — let's combine some of them in this last drawing for this lesson. Now you'll do a larger, more finished drawing of the subject based on one of your compositional sketches. To prepare, choose the composition you liked best from the last exercise and draw it for 20 minutes. Or, if you can't decide on just one, do two drawings for about 10 minutes each. Place yourself in the exact position where you did the sketch, prop the sketch pad up at an angle, and start by sketching in a frame, being careful that it's the same proportions as your sketch but larger. Next, draw in the whole scene lightly, fitting it into the frame as it was in the original. Then develop the image, gradually drawing darker. Exercise O-3C, Extended Gesture Drawing. Time, one drawing at 20 minutes or two drawings at 10 minutes each. Materials, ebony pencil and sketch pad. Subject, untidy table or desktop. Begin as you did before with a quick gestural sketch to block in the whole arrangement within the frame. See if you can get it all down in less than 5 minutes, drawing lightly, freely, and holistically. Continue drawing, looking occasionally at your paper and making corrections as you go, always without erasing. After you've got the whole thing blocked in, slow down a bit and start noticing more carefully the shapes of the objects and the negative spaces between them. Again, without erasing, go over these areas and correct them using slightly darker lines so you can see what you've changed. You can also add more detail or objects of interest. If you decide to change the cropping, you can do that too using slightly darker lines. Don't worry if it's getting messy, that's part of the process of learning to see and draw. However, at the end of the drawing, if you want, you can go over key lines once more with a darker contour or outline just to tidy things up. If you get tired of the first drawing or if it gets to be too much of a mess, go on to your second choice and continue in the same way. Okay, start. and stop. Looking at your drawings when they're done, you'll hopefully see that the process has improved your observation skills and maybe your ability to make sense of a messy situation. And even if your sketches don't look just like the subject, they might have caught something about it, if only its sense of disarray. The next lessons will build on gesture drawing to allow you to draw things freely but more economically by looking for shapes and forms. Before you quit for the day, check that each page of drawings is labeled with your name and the number of the exercise. And be sure you've taken photos of each page of drawings and of the subjects for each assignment.